How's it going, football fans? Welcome inside the set of Gridiron Glory. Thank you for joining us for coverage of Week 9. I'm your host, Blake Brody. The theme for tonight, win or else, as playoff and league implications affect every matchup we have for you tonight, and we reveal our finalists for Player of the Year. It's an action-packed show. Let's get started. Needing a win to assert themselves in the West Virginia playoff picture, the Parkersburg South Patriots, currently sitting 12th in the state, a win over 14th-ranked Robert C. Byrd would certainly bolster their playoff position. Bolstering our coverage of this matchup tonight, Pat Moore joined us at the desk. Pat, the Patriots dropped a tough one on the road last week to Brook, so a chance to return home, restore a little order, and bolster their playoff chances.
Oh, I mean, after that big win in the Battle of Parkersburg, they dropped the game last week to an inferior Brook team, like you said. And if they're going to want to make the playoffs, they're going to have to step up big time in tonight's matchup against Robert C. Byrd. Number 12, Parkersburg South. Number 14, Byrd. First quarter here, Bolin is going to roll out in the first possession. He's going to intercept it by Mason Compton there to the 44. The Byrd would punt Parkersburg back with the ball. Kyocho is going to take the handoff 39 yards down the sideline. He would actually finally get taken down at the Byrd 37-yard line. 4 plays later, Coach Bolin and his squad are facing a 4th and 6, trying to draw something up here offensively. And let me say, it's going to work because Bolin's going to find Braxton Johnson up the seam here, 23 yards, huge 4th down conversion. It would lead to this 20-yard Isaac Bowles field goal, 3-0 Parkersburg South at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter action now. Byrd at the goal line. Charles Hythen with the 2-yard pitch for the touchdown. 7-3. Byrd. Kyocho trying to respond. He's going to take it down 22 yards down the sideline, but he would hold that left ankle a little.
Oh, that hurts.
Exactly. Just wouldn't come back in the second half. Huge loss there. Hopefully something too serious. Absolutely. Someone's going to pick up the slack, and it's going to be Braxton Johnson. He's going to take the handoff up the middle, all the way down to the 2-yard line at the goal line. Will be punched in by Bolin. 10-7 Patriots. They wouldn't look back. 24-10 the final score. Huge win, pushing them to 5-3 in the season.
Yeah, so the Patriots get that playoff bolstering win. They might vault up in the standings a little bit, but looks like this win might have come at a cost, losing running back Jordan Kyocho. How is that going to affect them going forward?
Oh, I mean, it's going to be huge. Kyocho, just too much you can't have your best player get hurt in the week 9 of the season.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see if the Patriots can nurse him back to health next week. Thanks a lot tonight, Pat. Fans, stick around for coverage of our game of the week. Tri-Valley and Sheridan square off with an NBL title on the line. Nathan Strock and the Scotties hoping to upset undefeated Mitchell Fouch and the Generals. Pat Chiesa and Glenn Janos are standing by in Zanesville with details, so stick around. Well, state-ranked Nelsonville York continues to roll right along this season, posting dominant victory after dominant victory. Tonight they traveled to a spoiler-minded Alexander team coming off back-to-back losses. Now we go join live on the set with Mark Pierce and Frank Bum. Frank, certainly this wouldn't get easier for the Spartans tonight with that orange and brown juggernaut coming into town.
It really doesn't, Blake. The Buckeyes offense hasn't scored less than 34 points all season. As impressive as that is, Mark, their defense is jaw-dropping. If you score a touchdown and make the extra point, you've beaten the average of 6 points that the Buckeyes are allowing this season.
But the Spartans didn't just want to beat the average, Frank. They wanted to beat the Buckeyes. But this is senior night for the Spartans, and this is their last home game in front of their home crowd. But it's going to be Dustin Young that gets things started. 25 yards right out of the gate, moving the chains on the very first drive of the game. That's exactly how they want to start. From there, Nathan Deans is going to do what he does best: take to the air, 30 yards. Daniel Klein into the end zone. 8-0 Nelsonville York right off of the bat. That's exactly the way Coach Dave Boston wanted to start the game. From there, is that Frank Bum?
No, that's Jacob Kuhn, and he's a lot better than I ever was. Sacks Trey Bennett. Trey Bennett with that ankle injury, not as mobile. And Nelsonville York's defense as good as they've been all season.
And that gives the ball back to who?
Dustin Young, big surprise.
Oh, yeah. 5 yards out, no big deal. Another touchdown, 14-0 Nelsonville York Buckeyes. From there, the Spartans are trying to get something going. Eric Davis fumbles the football. Nelsonville York recovers. That would lead to another Nelsonville York touchdown. From there, Trey Bennett's trying to get something going, but he's going to be picked off. Garrison Breeze, nice little return on the interception. Is going to give the ball back to who? Big shocker here. Wait for it. Dustin Young, touchdown.
I am shocked.
That is a shocker. 53-0 is your final score, and honestly, it was just all Nelsonville York from the opening kickoff.
It really was. The juggernaut keeps on rolling. They're 9-0 through 9 weeks of play.
Right.
Yeah, another dominating victory for the Nelsonville York Buckeyes. They're going to cruise into their matchup with the Bulldogs next week, full head of steam. Guys, how impressed are you by this Buckeyes team?
This Buckeyes team has done everything right through the whole course of the season. 9 games, they have came out and dominated all 3 phases of the football game: offense, defense, and special teams.
Their offense has been averaging 44 points a game, and their defense, they're allowing 6 points a game, and that's their 4th shutout this season.
All right, having fun with this matchup tonight. Frank Bum and Mark Pierce, thanks a lot tonight, guys. Good stuff. Well, the athleticism gene just seems to run strong in certain families. Nick Hirsch joins us at the desk to tell us about a Wahama senior who comes from a long line of football players.
Yeah, that's right, Blake. Imagine having 6 children, all of which are boys and all of which play football. And that sounds crazy, right? But for Ron and Terry Branch, this is a reality. And their youngest son, Jamin, is in his senior year at Wahama High School and is the final branch of a very talented family tree.
Never thought that we'd have this many children, and we never thought that we'd have all sons, as it is.
The Branch brothers' football journey began at St. Mary's High School. With every brother playing football, sibling rivalry is an understatement.
My wife won't even play games with us anymore because it doesn't matter if we're playing Monopoly or Rummy. We're going to argue, and the game's going to end up with somebody being mad and storming out.
It could be, I don't know who can spit the farthest, and we would try to outperform each other.
The one thing with all of us is that we were all trying to outdo the one that came before us. So, whether that was on football or just anything generally in life, set the tone for us to be successful people in life.
In 2002, the Branches grew closer together as a family. Aaron, the 3rd oldest brother, was killed in a car accident. Aaron was the first of the Branch brothers to play at Wahama High School.
Never envisioned that a son would die before I did.
Aaron was the golden child, we all say. He got away with things at home, I think, that none of us would never even consider saying or doing. He was a good athlete.
Out of all the brothers, I think Aaron and I resembled a lot of each other out on the football field. And it was always a compliment to me. People would say, "Hey, you look like Aaron out there on the football field." And I always took that to heart.
Ever since 5th grade, I've always worn the number 48, just as a symbol for my brother.
As the years have passed, the youngest, Jamin, has followed in his older brother's footsteps.
Being the youngest, I've definitely learned a lot from my older brothers, especially to be a leader on the field and off the field. They've set the example for their team, and they've taught me how to set the example for my team, and I feel that I've succeeded in that role for my team.
My wife and I are so very proud of them. They're on their way to good careers, and I believe to make a difference in the society.
The brothers' father, Ron Branch, surprisingly never played football, and the boys say their mother, Terry, is the one they go to when from all the tough love they get.
All right, Nick, that's a really cool story from the Branch family. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, major playoff points on the line in Waterford tonight as the Wildcats welcomed in South Gallia. Both teams still alive in the playoff race, but currently on the outside looking in. A win tonight would be huge for either one of these teams' hopes come playoff time. Coming up huge for us tonight, Keith Turner at this matchup. This is a big game, South Gallia and Waterford playing for their playoff lives. Would you consider this a regular season playoff game?
Well, absolutely, Blake. Both of these teams hungry. The number 3 seed in the TVC hockey behind Trimble and Waterford is on tonight. And I tell you what, the 5-3 Waterford and 6-2 South Gallia teams, they're coming in very hungry. If you've seen that sign, it said RIP Rebels. Waterford very, very aggressive early with the onside kick, but the South Gallia Rebels would recover, and they would make them pay here with a 16-yard hookup from Corey Hanner to Danny Matney. The
sharp play
two-point
there.
conversion would be good. The Rebels would lead 8-0. Waterford's band would be led by Mr. Mario himself.
Mario.
But where is Luigi? That's the question. Waterford's response to that touchdown would be a Brian Moore halfback pass. They were running trick plays all night, and it was looking for Matt West, but it was incomplete. It looked like a for sure 7, but a few plays later, Trevor Lang would find Hunter Munges for a first down into Rebel territory. However, that drive would stall. Mid-second quarters, Hanner would find Matney once again here. This time it would be for 37 yards. Matney would have a huge game tonight, Blake. And I tell you what, the next play, it would set up Ethan Spurlock for a 2-yard touchdown pound in. And right before half, Waterford said at least they want to get on the board as Lang will find Devin Patterson for a 43-yard touchdown. It looks like he fumbles the ball here at the end, but the ref rules it a touchdown.
They get across the plane.
14-7 at half, but South Gallia would cruise on in the second half to a 27-7 victory over the Wildcats. They spoiled their senior night, but they kept their own playoff berths alive.
Yeah, South Gallia, big win tonight. They even clinched a playoff spot with this win tonight. It was a 14-7 game at halftime, and they ended up pulling away in this one. What allowed them to do that?
South Gallia was dominant on offense. If you look at the stats, 336 total yards to Waterford's 170. Dominant night tonight for South Gallia.
All right, well, congratulations to them, clinching a playoff berth, Division 6. Thanks a lot tonight, Keith. Thank you. Well, for the best coverage of your favorite teams and leagues, be sure and check out the Gridiron Glory page at WOUB.org. For written and video content throughout the week, there's not a better source than WOUB.org. And while you're on the web, be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook if you haven't already. Our Facebook page has been buzzing lately with Player of the Year chat. Keep it up. And hey, who do you think will go furthest come playoff time? Post on our wall. And remember, our Twitter page is a great source for score alerts around the region. While all eyes have been on Jackson in the SEOAL, Gallia Academy quietly entering Week 9, still alive in the league race. In order to make next week's showdown with Jackson very meaningful, they needed a win tonight over Warren. Graham Fugazi joins us at the desk at this matchup tonight. Graham, Warren lost a tough one last week at Chillicothe. Gallia Academy's, rolling off 2 straight wins. What can we expect from this matchup tonight?
Well, that's exactly right, Blake. Blake, coming into tonight's game, we expect a slow and sloppy start to tonight's matchup at Memorial Field. Both teams were looking to stay focused on both sides of the ball, but it seems Gallia Academy cheerleaders missed the memo. Turn the sign around, ladies. What are you doing? On Gallia Academy's first possession, Wade Jarrell rolls to his right, but is picked off by Warren's Chaz Miller. He runs it down the sideline and then later taken out of bounds by Jarrell. Later on Warren's first possession, Dylan Leffingwell says, Wade, you give, so I'll give back. Intercepted by Drew Young, still 0-0 at this point. A few plays later, Leffingwell finally connects to Andrew Vincent for 25 yards, has one player to beat in the middle of the field, can't do it though. But a few plays later, Blake, guess what happens? Leffingwell picked off again by Bryant Bokovitz, deep down into Warren territory, and 5 rushing plays later, Brandon Taylor, that man, Brandon Taylor, punches it in from 1 yard out. Gallia Academy up 7-0 in the second. 15 seconds later, though, Drew Young says dinner is served. Picked off.
Jumped that route.
He absolutely did. Drew Young picks off the pass. Gallia Academy up 14-0 after a long Warren touchdown and a missed extra point. Chaz Miller kicks and kicks it to himself.
Oh, a little trickery.
A little trickery here. Recovers the onside kick. Warren with momentum just before the half, but that man, Miller, misses the field goal, and Warren goes on into halftime down 17-6 and will go on to lose, actually, 27-13. It was just one of those matchups, Blake, where Warren, they tried to cut down the turnovers, but they just couldn't do it, and Gallia used their running attack, and, they just propelled them to victory.
Right, running attack and that defense been really strong this year. So they've won 3 straight games now heading into their colossal matchup with Jackson next week. What can we expect from that game? Give us a quick little preview.
They need to cut down their turnovers just like tonight, and they also need to try and shut down Jackson's powerful offense. If they're going to do that, that's the only way they're going to try and win next week's game.
Well, it'll certainly be a tough battle for the Blue Devils, but they'll come in with some momentum. Thanks a lot tonight, Graham. Joined on the set with SEOAL reporters Josh Huntsberger and Carter Rodriguez. Guys, so the Blue Devils record a big win tonight, but Jackson had a chance to claim a share for the SEOAL title in Chillicothe. Tell us what went down around the rest of the league tonight, fellas.
Yeah, Blake, Jackson certainly did clinch a share of the SEOAL crown tonight. They dominated Chillicothe with a 51-3 victory on the road.
Yeah, they looked really good tonight, Josh. We had 3 league games this week, in a 6-team conference that everyone's playing each other. Logan continued its struggles, getting beaten in double overtime by an improving Portsmouth team. And as we mentioned earlier, Jackson rocked Chillicothe. And you just saw Gallia Academy take care of business against Warren. And that sets up a very interesting Week 10 matchup against Jackson.
Yeah, Carter, it does. If Gallia Academy can go on the road and beat Jackson, they've got a piece of that SEOAL title. And with the way Jackson embarrassed them on their home field last year, these Blue Devils are going to come ready to play.
Mike Eddy's defense is going to be hungry, and it's been one of the toughest in the conference all year. In their wins, they've allowed a paltry 9 points per game, so this defense is very tough.
Don't count out Jackson's offense. They have scored 39 points per game behind Austin Osborne, excuse me. So Gallia's defense has definitely got their work cut out for them, Blake.
All right, guys, thanks a lot for giving us a look around the rest of the league. Good stuff. Well, as you well know, Wellston was home to some serious renovations thanks to ESPN not too long ago when they starred on ESPN's Rise Up series. Tonight, they star on our Fan of the Week segment. It was senior night at C.H. Jones Stadium, and Rocket fans were in blast-off mode in this week's Fan of the Week.
Go Rocket!
Woo! All right, now that I get my eardrums back in action, up top. Gotta talk to her. She's got the mask on, painted in Wellston colors. Tell me about this, your get up tonight.
Just like Wellston Rocket.
Not lacking spirit at any point here. Gage, right?
Yeah.
Would you be a good Fan of the Week candidate?
Yeah. Blake, I'm facting 18-0 Wellston won tonight.
Facting the win. Gage, confident as ever. What's your name, man? You don't know your name? Okay. Well, sometimes Fan of the Week doesn't fit for everybody. People were pointing us in your direction. So do you get pretty vocal? Do you get?
Oh yeah.
Every home game, you gotta have the horn.
I didn't have it last week and we lost.
Needless to say, you will never forget the horn again.
No, I will never forget it again.
Familiar with Gridiron Glory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we watch it every Friday night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I like her a lot. Gage here, he's been pleading his case. He's been, following us around. He really wants this Fan of the Week. He facted a Wellston win tonight. And you know what? I'm going to fact it that he is Gridiron Glory's Week 9 Fan of the Week. And he will be swimming in this t-shirt. Well, Wellston didn't get the win, but I'm facting it. Gage was probably the happiest winner we've had all season long. Well, Wellston was up against it tonight with the undefeated Bulldogs in town, especially with Jalen Prater out. At this game for us, Brad Hawley making his Gridiron Glory debut at the desk for us. We saw the Buckeyes take care of business tonight with their win over Alexander. The Bulldogs needed to take care of business of their own. How did they look tonight, Brad?
Yeah, that's right, Blake. And coming into tonight's game, Athens head coach Ryan Adams was worried about how traveling to Wellston could turn into a potential trap game. The Rockets head in with their backs against the wall in need of a signature win to boost their playoff hopes. It was the battle of the two backup quarterbacks as Josh Skinner and Jalen Prater were down with leg injuries. Michael Germano starts it off in the first quarter to Nick Stanley. He's fighting, he's stretching, he's going to be down at the 1. Don't worry, Devon Sharp, he takes care of it 6-0 Athens. He usually does. Wellston puts the ball on the ground. Athens picks up the ball, which is going to set up this Michael Germano to McIntosh 22-yard connection. And guess what? They're down at the 1 again. But that's all right. This time, Freddie Stalder says, no, it's my turn. I want to score. 14-0 Athens in the first quarter. Coach Adams giving Mr. Germano some love. Michael Downer, the running back for Wellston, trying to get something started, but Athens forces a 3-and-out, which sets up this 71-yard end around to Skylar Schwartzel, and the route is on in Wellston, 22-0.
A lot of other players getting involved for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, definitely. One more time, though, sophomore sensation Germano to Nick Stanley, 58-yard touchdown. Catch that ball, Nick. And it is now 30-0. Nick Stanley, he wants to become a ball hawk now, Blake, and he picks off the Joey Young pass, takes it back down the midfield, and while the Wellston band put on a show at halftime, the Athens Bulldogs put on a show in the Gridiron tonight, winning 36-7.
Man, so it's official. The Bulldogs and Buckeyes will be undefeated heading into their Week 10 matchup. Brad covering this game for us. Thanks a lot tonight.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, time on the show now for Extra Points. 2 games, 1 highlight. Let's do it. First, we'll go out to Trimble, where the Tomcats welcomed in Southern tonight. Here's Austin Keith carrying the ball. He scores a quick touchdown for the Tomcats. There'd be plenty more touchdowns scored for Trimble tonight. Here, Connor Stanley. Great carry here. He had many of these tonight, just like this one. Spin move there, bouncing off tacklers. He goes down. Big carry there. Justin Jewell now dual threat quarterback. This time he's passing the ball. Paul Ranthan gets the ball, runs it down the field. This is just some great playing here. Trimble would roll in this one, 60-19. Next game for you, out in Logan, SEOL battle between the Chieftains and the Portsmouth Trojans. This one going to double overtime, but here a great pass to Zade Whitley for a first down. Yeah, he doesn't want to go down. It's not an easy takedown for anybody. Zade Whitley, elusive. Here's a great stop here. Duke Edwards gets the ball, but the Logan defense says you're not going anywhere. What a team effort there on defense. We saw this from both teams tonight. Here, Logan, now on offense, Jack Music shoots a clean pass over to Kyle Grove, powers down the field. This one double overtime, but the Trojans take it 24-21. Well, 2 weeks ago, we released a watch list of our top 15 players around the region, spread out between all our conferences. And we asked you guys, our fans, who you want to see as our Player of the Year finalist. We tallied the votes, and we had a tie between two players. So without further ado, here is this year's Super 6 finalist for Gridiron Glory Season 13 Player of the Year. Congratulations goes out to our Super 6, Devon Sharp, Dustin Young, Mitchell Fouch, Jeremy Willison, Isaac Lee, and Austin Osborne. Our Super 6. Voting begins tomorrow at noon. Cast your vote on the Player of the Year page at WOUB.org. Here we go. Game of the week time, and all eyes were on our matchup in Thornville between MVL Titans, Tri-Valley, and Sheridan. Both undefeated in the MVL and cruising toward the playoffs, but the winner will enter as MVL champions. We knew it would come down to this. It's Tri-Valley at Sheridan, and it's our game of the week. At this matchup tonight, live in Zanesville, our MVL duo, Glenn Janos and Pat Chiesa. Guys, this was the game of the year in the MVL. Let's jump right into it. What'd you see on the field tonight?
Well, Blake, this was the matchup we have been waiting for all season long. The winner of this game was guaranteed at least a share of the 2011 MVL Conference title. But Glenn, for as hyped up as this game has been for the first 9 weeks, it wasn't nearly as close.
Yeah, we were expecting a really tight game as Sheridan was playing to defend their MVL title, and the Scotties looking for revenge from last year's loss to Sheridan. And Nathan Strock, he's going to start that mission off early. He's here 15 yards out. He's going to carry the ball into the end zone up 7-0. Has plenty of time, though, to respond. Austin Jones breaks loose 36 yards into Sheridan territory, had 170 yards on the night, and Nathan Strock, he likes Jones enough to give them that touchdown, 12 yards out, up 28-7.
Oh, he does just a beautiful connection right there.
That's what they do best, and Tri-Valley got a field goal early in the third quarter, up 31-7 here. Mitchell Fouch our Player of the Year finalist finally does something.
He was shut down in the first half, Glenn. Got his wheels turning in the second half, but it just wasn't enough.
And a couple plays later, Nick Alsbach fumbles close to the goal line. Tri-Valley recovers, and they claim a share of the MVL title.
We need to come out this week, focused approach again, and go out and win one outright. There's only been 3 teams in the history of Tri-Valley that have won an outright league title. Okay? Our job is to go be the 4th. You understand me?
And Tri-Valley had over 500 yards offense on the night, very balanced, 340 on the ground, 209 through the air. Pat, really doing anything and everything they wanted with the ball.
Glenn, when they wanted to run the ball, they ran it. When they wanted to throw the ball, they threw it. Nathan Strock truly found a plethora of receivers tonight. It was very impressive on both sides of the ball from the Scotties.
What a win for Tri-Valley tonight, guys. Looked like that passing game was awfully successful for the Scotties.
Oh, it was, Blake. Glenn, we knew that Nathan Strock, he was kind of the X factor in this game. He needed to step up, and boy, did he ever. I mean, he just picked apart Sheridan's defense, found any and every receiver he really wanted to throw to.
Yeah, and this season, Nathan Strock, he's been inconsistent. Have a good game here and then a very bad game the next. And tonight, I think it's safe to say his best performance of the season, maybe the best of his career.
Well, it certainly came at the right time. Glenn, now let's look at Sheridan here. They were sailing easily through the first 8 weeks, but they dropped this game. What's next for the Generals?
Well, they've got New Lexington next week, and that is going to be a tough matchup because New Lex's defense is fantastic against the run. And tonight, Sheridan couldn't get the run going, and when that happens, they really struggle on offense. And Pat, I think if Sheridan loses next week to the Panthers, they will miss out on the playoffs.
Well, Blake, there's certainly going to be fireworks again next week. Back to you.
All right, fellas, Tri-Valley looks like the real deal. Well, our Clash of the Titans Part 1 was tonight, but next week brings an equally monstrous matchup between undefeateds Nelsonville, York, and Athens. Here's a look at Gridiron Glory's Week 10 matchups.
The entire season comes down to next Friday night. It's Week 10, and a marquee matchup in the TVC Ohio highlights our coverage. Nelsonville, York, and Athens put their undefeated records on the line for a chance at the Doc Crowner Trophy and a TVC Ohio Championship. Gridiron Glory will be live in Athens with the coverage. The SEOAL Championship will be decided as well when Jackson hosts Gallia Academy. Trimble and Federal Hawking square off as Trimble attempts to stay hot heading into the playoffs. And Sheridan heads to New Lexington for their toughest road test of the season. Who will come out on top? Come back and find out next Friday night.
Well, that'll do it for this week's show. It was a great night of football around the region. Join us next week for coverage of Week 10, where there's nothing better than Friday nights in Gridiron Glory.